guys. So today we're going to talk about wiring up the 8-speed, the 8 HP 70 and a 2007 to 2011 Jeep JK. So this is going behind a 5.7 Hemi. Currently this is the Jeep Speed Shop Hemi conversion that I am doing with their 8-speed. So the few things I did source that he recommended me sourcing besides the wiring harness and computer and the plate that I got from Todd at Jeep Speed. So you can source the shifter out of a basically 2015, 16, 17 Dodge Challenger. Doesn't matter if it's a 5 or a 6-cylinder, 8-cylinder. Just needs to have the 8-speed in it for this to work. This is going to give us the capability of actually having manual shifting capabilities, known as slap shift. So this is your computer. This is going to be for laptop interface, so that way we can program or calibrate the transmission, change shift points, so forth is what I'm going to guess. And then this is the shifter plate. This is what the shifter will bolt to inside the cab. We'll get to that a little bit later with this install. So we're going to start with the main connector. This part is going to plug in to your computer, which is right there. It's pretty simple. It's even colored blue for blue. Next part we're going to go to, I'm going to zigzag around down over here. This is going to plug into the actual transmission. You will be using the Challenger valve body out of an 8-speed for all this to work. So make sure you get one of those when you're doing this transmission. Thankfully, Todd had one. I just purchased one through him instead of trying to source one. They are very expensive if you buy them new, so I'd suggest getting them used. Next part is what we're going to start wiring. This is your interface for basically code reading and that sort of thing, slash OBD2. Then there's normally a half a dozen, well actually probably close to a dozen wires that are coming out of this one section. We only need 2 of them. This is what's so nice. This is where I thought things were going to get real complicated, but thankfully they did not. So we just kind of backfold everything, tape it all up so it's all out of the way. The 2 that you're going to leave exposed are your brake lamp input and your reverse lamp. Those are only 2 wires we have to worry about on that section. And we'll get to where those later to where those are getting wired in. Next one is this plug. This plug, very simple, plugs into the back side of your shifter. Literally, just clip, all done. So that makes things simple. Next thing is, you have this little section. You have a purple lead and this 4-way prong. Tape them together, shove them aside, not using them. This one, however, is going to get put into one of your CAN bus systems for the shifting. So we're going to actually cut this end in and splice it in. I'll show you where we go at that point. Mine might be a little bit different than the automatic guys, but I am going from a manual to an automatic, but I don't think it is. I think it's probably going to be the same thing, but we'll worry about that when we get to that point. Then the last plug, this is for your computer interface, which will plug into that if you need it. So you want to make sure we can get to this piece easily, and obviously this piece easily, because all this stuff's going to be under your console, so try to route them to where you can get to them. And last, final, we have little fuses. These are going to get cut off. The black is your ground. Needs to go to a main body ground. Any of your posts, wires are a little twisted up. I'm going to be cutting all this and rechanging it. We're going to cut the fuses off. We're going to lengthen the yellow and the red about approximately 6-7 feet, so it gives us more than enough. And I'll just show you where we wire those into the system as well. So pretty basic on those. One's ground, one's positive, one's ignition. But like I said, we'll get to that when it's time. we established we're, got the wiring kind of situated and ready to rock and roll for install, I got the shifter installed. Mine's gonna be a little bit different than some of these guys. Mine was a manual. I'm converting it to automatic. So this video is more intended for your 2007 to 2010 Jeep JKs because the wiring is different than 2011 and newer. So this shifter is out of a 2017 Challenger with an 8-speed. Basically any Challenger or Charger that has this shifter that's designed for an 8-speed, the shifter will work. This is cool. This little plate I got from Todd at Jeep Speed. It basically makes it plug and play. If I already had an automatic, but because I have a manual, I have a different floor plate for my center console. So I welded up a plate that goes over where the shifter used to come through on my center console plate. I had to add a few studs to maybe allow me to use this adapter, but all in all, it was actually pretty simple to do. So that's what makes it nice there. But if you have an automatic, this plate just drops in place. You bolt it up. It couldn't be any simpler. The computer goes right in front of that for the transmission. I used a couple self-tappers to hold that in place. There's a little bolt that the center console floor plate bolts to that sticks out, and that kind of lines up the computer where it needs to go. So on the plate, there is a certain way the orientation does need to go. So you'll see there's a notch in it. That notch goes to the back side. And then you'll see there is a difference between the two bolts side to side. Those bolts are a little offset because it offsets the plate. Well, you'll see one's a little closer than the other one. Okay, the one that's a little closer goes to the passenger side. So just want to give everybody a heads up on that. So next step is there's a hole back here where the automatic transmission cable used to come up through. Mine didn't obviously have that. It has the hole, just a plug, so I'm going to be running the wire up through that. So we're going to do that, and we'll start laying out the wire and start wiring this bad boy up. So I hope these little videos help you out, wire up the 8-speed transmission for 2007 to 2010 Jeep JK with the Jeep Speed 5.7 carb legal Hemi swap. All right, so see part 2 for all the fantastic wiring goodness.